I'm Vaccaro. I'm the Director of Music Education here at Fazio's, and I want to introduce a series of videos that are essentially lesson tips, guitar playing tips for any level of player. And today we're going to focus on jazz playing, and I'm predominantly a jazz player. Though I like all styles of music, I predominantly play jazz. What I find with students is that they're a little intimidated by the idea of playing jazz because it's a pretty sophisticated style of music. But if you take an approach that's kind of via the blues, which is a style that a lot of players are familiar with, I think it can be not so intimidating. For example, everybody's familiar with the 12-bar blues. That standard rhythm type would be a 12-bar form that a lot of players, when they're introduced to this style of music, are pretty familiar with. But if I expand that a little bit and I don't play that rhythm and I play more of the 7th chord variety, okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm playing the dominant 7th chord. If you've got the major bar chord, if you know your bar chords, and then you just remove your 4th finger, got a dominant 7th chord. Okay, so I'm going to be basically using 3 different dominant 7th chords: G7, C7, which is based on my 5th string. So if I bar my 1st finger and I take my 3rd finger and play a G note, which is 5th fret, 4th string, and then I place my 4th finger on the 5th fret, 2nd string, I've got a C7 chord. Same thing for D7. So I've got these 3 chords that I'm working with: G7, C7, and D7. Okay? Now, rhythmically, I'm going to take a different approach than I was doing before. If you notice, I'm playing more of a Charleston rhythm, which is okay? And what that is, if you read music, standard notation is dotted quarter 8th note. If you don't, it's an easy enough rhythm to hear and feel that you can catch on pretty quickly. So here's the whole form. Basing my rhythm on that Charleston pattern. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change these chords so that it's not, if you're playing jazz, these basic 7th chords are kind of plain sounding. So I'm going to expand that. I'm going to take this G7 chord and make it a G13. And you'll notice, as I'm doing so, I've got G7 versus G13. You hear the difference in color. There's G13. And what I've got is, I've got my 1st finger on G, I'm muting out the 5th string, so I'm skipping it all together, and so my next note is F, 3rd fret, 4th string, then I've got 4th fret, 3rd string, that's a B, then I've got an E, 5th fret, 2nd string, G13, so my notes are G, F, B, E. Okay, same thing with the C chord. I'm going to use a C9 instead of C7. I'm going to color that in a little bit and call it C9. I've got C, E, B flat, and D. 3rd fret, 5th string, 2nd fret, 4th string, 3rd fret, 3rd string, and 3rd fret, 2nd string. C9. Then I can do the same thing with D. Just make that a 9th chord. So these are my 3 voicings. I've got G13, C9, D9. now I apply that Charleston rhythm to it, and just follow the 12-bar form as usual. Slides into these chords. Like these little half-step shifts really adds a lot. There it is again. Okay, so now we've taken the first step in transforming blues progression into more of a jazz-oriented blues progression. So hopefully that helps and gives you something practical that you can use and expands your playing a little bit. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.